My mom stole my wedding dress and wore it to my ceremony, then announced she was pregnant with my fiancé. So I did this to her, and now she went silent for the first time ever. Throwaway, because some family members know my main account. So I've been with my fiancé Anthony, male, 31, for about 3 years now, and we're getting married in 3 days. Still can't believe it's finally happening. But my mom, Marlene, has been making the entire process about herself, and I'm honestly at my breaking point. My mom has always been like this. She was a beauty pageant contestant back in the day. She never won Miss State, like she claims, only made it to the regional finals, but whatever. She basically peaked at 22 and has spent my entire life trying to relive her past fame and making everything about her. I've literally documented her behavior since I was a kid. I started keeping a diary when I was 10 because my therapist, yes, I was in therapy at 10, wonder why, suggested it might help. I still have all those diaries, plus years of texts, emails, cards, etc. I'm kind of obsessive about keeping records of everything, which my coworkers tease me about, but growing up with Marlene taught me to always have proof of what actually happened. Some examples of her behavior. When I graduated high school as valedictorian, she wore this super revealing red dress and spent the whole ceremony flirting with the principal, who was married, by the way. When I got accepted to law school, she announced at my celebration dinner that she was dating one of the professors there, completely made up. She borrowed my prom dress without asking and returned it with wine stains, then claimed the dress looked better on her anyway. Every single birthday card she's ever given me somehow makes it about her. Happy birthday to my daughter, who got my beautiful eyes and winning smile. My dad, Wade, male, 51, divorced her when I was 12, mostly because of her constant need for attention and how she flirted with literally everyone. He's always been supportive of me, but he avoids confronting my mom directly because he says it's not worth the drama. He's remarried now to a really sweet woman named Karen. Not a Karen, Karen. She's actually really nice, who is nothing like my mom. So Anthony proposed a year ago at this restaurant we love. Somehow my mom found out about it. I suspect my cousin told her, and she just happened to show up at the exact restaurant right after he proposed. She made this huge scene, crying and making waiters take pictures of all of us, then posted them on Facebook with, "My daughter just got engaged," like she planned the whole thing. Since then, wedding planning has been a nightmare. She has opinions about everything: the venue, the flowers, the music, the food. I've tried to include her in some decisions to keep the peace, but she takes over completely. The worst has been about my dress. I designed a custom wedding dress with this local seamstress named Kathy. It's old-fashioned with pretty lace and a modest neckline. I've always been kind of self-conscious about showing too much skin. My mom has criticized it from day one, saying it's not sexy enough and that I'm wasting my youth by choosing something so matronly. She kept suggesting alterations to make it more revealing, which I refused. Things have been getting more awkward because Anthony and my mom have been texting each other a lot lately. They say it's about surprise wedding details, but I don't know. Something feels off about it. Anthony is completely trustworthy. We've never had issues with trust before, but I get anxious when he doesn't answer my texts right away, and then I see him texting someone else. But I'm probably just being paranoid because of wedding stress. The final dress fitting a week ago was the breaking point. Here's what happened. My mom showed up completely uninvited. I specifically didn't tell her about this appointment. Kathy looked super uncomfortable as my mom immediately started criticizing the neckline. I told my mom firmly that the dress was exactly how I wanted it. She told me the dress made me look frumpy right in front of Kathy. My maid of honor, Gabby, stepped in and told my mom to back off. My mom did that fake innocent thing, saying she was just trying to help me look my best while looking at Gabby like she was overreacting. It started tearing up because I was just so frustrated and embarrassed. Poor Kathy just kept pinning the hem while avoiding eye contact. My mom took out her phone and started taking photos, though I explicitly asked her not to. Later that day, she sent the photos to me aunts and cousins asking if she should help me pick something more flattering. I was soup said I couldn't even sleep that night. Gabby wanted me to uninvite my mom from the wedding, but I know that would just create even more drama. The past couple weeks have been weird. Both Anthony and my mom have been acting strange, having these hushed phone conversations that stop when I walk in, unexplained absences, and Anthony seems distracted all the time. I'm sure it's just wedding stress. Last night, I caught him texting at like 2 a.m., but when I asked who he was talking to, he said it was just work emails. He's in sales, so he does sometimes work weird hours, but still. Anyway, the wedding is in 3 days, and I'm trying to stay positive. My dress is safely stored at the bridal boutique until the morning of the ceremony. Thank God my mom doesn't have access to it. Despite all the drama, I'm so excited to marry Anthony. He's helped me deal with all this mother drama, and I know we're going to have an amazing life together. Edit. Some people are asking why I still have a relationship with my mom at all. It's complicated. She's not all bad. She can be really fun and generous sometimes, and she's still my mom, you know? I've tried setting boundaries, but she just bulldozes right through them. It's just easier to manage her than to cut her off completely. Plus, my dad always says that's just how she is, and I should try to be the bigger person. Edit 2. To those asking if Anthony knows about my mom's history, yes, I've told him everything. He's actually been really understanding and says he feels bad that I had to grow up with that. He usually handles her really well, which is why the texting thing is confusing me. But again, probably just wedding stuff. Edit 3. A lot of you are asking about my mom's involvement in the actual wedding planning. I did try to give her small, contained projects to keep her busy, like assembling welcome bags, but she kept trying to take over bigger decisions. My dad is walking me down the aisle, and she pitched a fit about that too, saying she should be included somehow. We compromised by having her do a reading during the ceremony, which I'm kind of regretting now, to be honest. Now for the first update. First, thank you for all the comments and support on my last post. I honestly didn't expect so many people to respond. Where do I even start? I guess with the night before the wedding, I barely slept. Partly excitement, but also this weird feeling that something was wrong. I kept telling myself it was just wedding jitters. Spoiler, it wasn't. My dad had gotten me this really nice bridal suite at the hotel where we were having the reception. He's always been thoughtful like that, had champagne and breakfast delivered for me and my bridesmaids in the morning. Anthony stayed with his best man Darren at another hotel because we were doing the whole traditional don't see each other before the ceremony thing. God, I feel so stupid about that now. The morning started out fine. Me and my bridesmaids were getting ready, drinking mimosas, doing hair and makeup. Gabby, my maid of honor since 3rd grade, we bonded over both having nightmare mothers, was being amazing keeping everything organized. The hotel actually gave us the wrong room at first, and the front desk guy felt so bad he sent up extra pastries. I remember thinking that was a good sign. Like even when things go wrong, they work out better. I was so naive. So about 90 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start, I sent Gabby to pick up my wedding dress from Kathy's boutique. I didn't want my mom anywhere near it after what happened at the fitting, so we had arranged to keep it there until the day of. Then everything went to hell. Gabby calls me freaking out, saying the boutique told her someone already picked up my dress yesterday evening. They said it was my mom, and that she claimed I had sent her to get it. I immediately tried calling my mom, but it went straight to voicemail. I called like 20 times. Nothing. I started panicking. My dad was trying to calm me down while also calling everyone he could think of to find my mom. Anthony texted asking about the delay, but didn't come up because Gabby had told him there was a dress emergency and we were handling it. Looking back, he probably knew exactly what was happening. I was literally hyperventilating at this point. Guests were already being seated. I had no dress. My mom was MIA, but I decided I wasn't going to let her ruin this. I still wanted to marry Anthony. Again, so stupid. So I made the decision to just walk down the aisle in the simple white slip dress I'd been wearing for hair and makeup. Gabby helped fix my hair and makeup because I'd been crying. My dad kept saying I looked beautiful anyway and that Anthony wouldn't care what I was wearing. So we're finally ready. Me and my dad are waiting at the back of the venue for our cue to walk down the aisle. The music starts, and then my mom appears from a side room, wearing my wedding dress. I couldn't move. I was just frozen, watching my mother walk down the aisle in my wedding dress. I followed behind her in shock. The guests were all turning around confused. There were whispers everywhere. I could see Anthony at the altar and his face when he saw my mom instead of me. He looked shocked, but also guilty. I don't know how to describe it. Not surprised enough. My mom gets to the altar, turns around to face everyone, and announces that before the ceremony can continue, she has something important to share with everyone. Then she tells everyone she's pregnant with Anthony's baby. She says they've fallen in love during the wedding planning. They didn't mean to hurt me, but apparently you can't help who you fall in love with, and these things happen. I looked at Anthony, waiting for him to deny it, to say it was all some sick joke, but his face was just pale. He started stammering about how he could explain. I just ran out of there in my stupid slip dress with just my phone and wallet. I could hear Anthony calling after me to let him explain, and my mom saying something about how these things happen again, like it's just a normal fucking thing for your mom to sleep with your fiancé. I checked into a different hotel, turned my phone off because it was blowing up with calls and texts, and then I just broke. I don't even remember most of that night. I think I ordered room service at some point. I don't know. The next day, Gabby and my dad somehow found me, probably called around to hotels. They helped me start to process what happened. Gabby told me that after I left, most of the guests left too. A lot of them apparently confronted Anthony and my mom. My dad's friends basically formed a human wall between them and my dad because he looked like he was going to murder Anthony. I never want to see either of them again. But I also need answers about how long this has been going on. Over the next week, I learned from Darren and some other friends that they've been having an affair for at least 3 months. All those times they were planning wedding surprises, they were actually meeting up. I found this out because I borrowed Darren's phone to call my dad, mine had died, and saw texts between him and Anthony where Anthony had told Darren about the affair months ago. Some best man. My mom is now posting all over Facebook and Instagram about her miracle pregnancy at 48 and how true love knows no boundaries and other bullshit. Anthony has apparently moved into her condo. I'm staying with my dad, who is absolutely furious and has cut off all contact with her. I'm still devastated, but honestly, I'm starting to get angry, really angry, and they seem to have forgotten something important about me. I'm a paralegal. I have access to information and resources, and I've spent my entire life documenting my mother's behavior and keeping records of everything. They have no idea what's coming. Edit. To everyone asking if the pregnancy is even real, I honestly don't know. My mom is 48, so it's possible, but unlikely. She's always been desperate for attention, so I wouldn't put it past her to fake a pregnancy. Either way, it doesn't change what they did. Edit 2. Thank you for all the suggestions about suing for the cost of the wedding. My dad is already talking to his lawyer about it. The venue and most vendors have been surprisingly understanding and have offered partial refunds, even though it was last-minute cancellation. Several people asked about Kathy, the seamstress. I called her the day after everything happened. She was horrified. Apparently, my mom came in claiming I had sent her to pick up the dress because I was too busy with last-minute details. Kathy said she was hesitant, but my mom showed her text from me, obviously fake, asking her to get the dress. Kathy feels terrible and has offered to make me a new dress for free if I ever want one in the future. For those asking why Anthony would cheat with my mom of all people, I've been asking myself the same question. But Gabby reminded me that my mom has always been obsessed with male attention and probably targeted Anthony specifically because he was with me. And Anthony, well, I guess he showed his true colors. And no, I am not going to post pictures of either of them for you to judge who's hotter. What the hell is wrong with some of you? Since so many are asking, no, I have not responded to any of their messages. Anthony has sent like 50+ texts about how it just happened and he still cares about me and other garbage. My mom has left voicemails acting like I'm overreacting. I've blocked both their numbers now. Now for the second update. Found out my mom has been embezzling from my dad's company and used the money on gifts for my ex-fiancé. Plus, she is definitely not pregnant. So it's been a little over a month since my last post. It's been a wild ride. So after about 2 weeks of complete radio silence from my end, definitely not from theirs, my phone was blowing up with texts and calls from both of them, I finally decided it was time to stop crying and start planning. A lot of you suggested I should just move on and focus on healing, which is probably the healthy adult thing to do. But honestly, I'm my father's daughter, and we don't let things go easily. I mentioned in my last post that I'm a paralegal, and I've documented my mother's behavior my whole life. What I didn't mention is that my mom has worked as the bookkeeper at my dad's construction company for the past 15 years, even after their divorce. My dad kept her on because he felt guilty about leaving her, even though she was the one who cheated multiple times, but whatever, and wanted to make sure she had stable income. My dad is way too nice for his own good. Anyway, I spent summers working at the front desk during high school and college breaks, so I'm pretty familiar with their financial systems. And I've always had this weird feeling about how my mom always seemed to have way nicer stuff than her salary would allow, like designer bags and fancy trips and stuff. But I never really thought much about it because, I don't know, I guess I just assumed she was in debt or something. I decided to talk to my Uncle Roy, my dad's business partner. Roy has never liked my mom and has only tolerated her because of my dad. I brought up some concerns about money problems at the company, trying to sound professional even though I was basically fishing. When I tried to talk to Uncle Roy about possible money issues, he immediately cut me off. He told me my mother had been stealing from them for years, and he'd been telling my father that for a decade, but my dad never wanted to hear it. Just like that, he knew. He freaking knew. With Roy's help, and my dad reluctantly agreeing once he realized what was happening, we pulled financial records going back 5 years, you guys. My mother has been stealing from the company this entire time. Small amounts at first that gradually increased to huge sums. In just the past year alone, she stole almost $87,000. And guess what that money was spent on? Expensive gifts for Anthony, including a Rolex watch and a down payment on a new car, Botox and fillers. So much for that natural beauty she's always bragging about, and luxury hotel stays where she and Anthony would meet up while I was at work. I couldn't believe it, but also wasn't surprised at all, if that makes any sense. Like, I was shocked at the scale, but not at the fact she would do something like this. I have this friend from work who's dating a forensic accountant. Weird flex, I know, but turned out to be super useful, and she helped me document everything. We created this comprehensive file showing every transaction, every fake entry, every penny that was stolen. But wait, there's more. God, I sound like an infomercial for trauma. While I was digging into my mom's finances, I also decided to do some research on Anthony. Turns out this wasn't his first rodeo with older women with money. He was previously engaged to a woman 15 years older than him. The relationship ended suddenly right after she caught him cheating, apparently with a coworker. This man has a type, and that type is older women who can fund his lifestyle. I feel so stupid for not seeing it sooner. So after gathering all this evidence, I decided to set a trap. I coordinated with my dad and Uncle Roy to call a company-wide meeting, supposedly to discuss a potential merger. I personally texted both my mom and Anthony, saying I wanted to talk about moving forward as a family given the pregnancy. I knew that would get them there. The day of the meeting was honestly one of the most satisfying days of my life. Here's how it went down. My mom and Anthony walked in looking nervous but hopeful. Probably thought I was going to forgive them or something. My dad started the meeting, then handed things over to me. My mom looked really confused about why I was there. I announced I had an important presentation about company finances, and my mom immediately started shifting in her seat nervously. Anthony just looked confused about why he was at what seemed to be a business meeting. I started my PowerPoint presentation. Yes, I actually made a PowerPoint with animated slides and everything because I'm thorough like that, showing all the financial problems with highlighted transactions. Uncle Roy passed out printed copies of all the evidence to everyone in the room. My mom tried to leave, claiming she had a doctor's appointment for the baby. My dad told her to sit down in this voice I've literally never heard him use before. It was kind of scary, to be honest. I went through everything. The bank statements, the fake records, the suspicious transfers to her personal accounts. Then I showed how some of the stolen money had been used to buy gifts for Anthony, with photos of the items matched with company expense records. I even had evidence that she used company funds to pay for the alterations to my wedding dress and to have a copy made for herself to wear to the wedding. The dress she wore was a copy. Kathy confirmed this later. My actual dress is still missing, by the way. When I finished presenting, my mom started screaming that this was all false and I was just bitter about Anthony choosing her over me. I calmly told her that we'd already reported everything to the police with my dad's approval. Her face went really pale. Anthony tried to act all innocent, saying he didn't know about where the gifts came from. But then I showed printed copies of text messages between them where they talked about the money and where it was coming from. Yes, I got these messages from his best man, Darren, who felt guilty about covering for them and gave me access to Anthony's iCloud backup. Technology is wild. My dad announced that my mom was fired right away. Anthony backed away from her, saying he couldn't be involved in stealing. The irony. And then I revealed the last thing. Medical records showing my mom had gone through menopause 2 years ago. You guys should have seen her face. For the first time in my entire life, my mother had absolutely nothing to say. No excuses, no dramatics, no tears, nothing. Just complete shocked silence. Security escorted her out of the building. Yes, we arranged for security to be there because we expected a scene. Anthony tried to follow me out afterward, saying he'd been manipulated by my mom and didn't know about the stolen money. I didn't even acknowledge his existence. So the aftermath. My mom was arrested 3 days later and charged with stealing from the company. The evidence was so overwhelming that her lawyer immediately started negotiating a deal. The story spread through our entire community fast, and suddenly her social media accounts went completely dark after years of constant posting. Anthony moved out of my mom's condo within days of the revelation and has been trying desperately to contact me to explain his side. According to mutual friends, he's telling everyone he was a victim of my mom's manipulation, whatever, dude. But the most satisfying thing of all, the complete and total silence from my mother. No calls, no texts, no social media rants, no one sent to guilt trip me. After a lifetime of her constant voice in my head, the manipulation, the problems, there's just nothing. And it's so peaceful. I'm starting therapy next week to process everything. God knows I need it. I'm considering using some of the settlement money from the civil suit against my mom to move to another state and start fresh. My dad keeps saying I should move to Colorado where his sister lives. Apparently the hiking is great for clearing your head or whatever. So yeah, I never got my wedding day, but I did get something I never thought I'd have. The knowledge that I could stand up to my mother and actually win. Plus the blessed silence that comes with it. Some of my extended family are saying I went too far and should have handled things privately. Maybe they're right. But after a lifetime of her publicly humiliating me, I think she deserved what she got. And honestly, the stealing had been going on for years. It wasn't just about me and Anthony. Anyway, that's my update. Not sure if I'll post again since I'm trying to focus on moving forward, but I wanted to let you all know what happened since so many people commented with support and advice. Edit. Several people have asked if I'm pressing charges against Anthony too. No, I'm not. While what he did was really bad, he didn't actually commit any crimes that I know of. The police are investigating whether he was involved in the stealing, but so far it looks like he was just happy to accept expensive gifts without asking too many questions. For those asking about the wedding costs, yes, my dad is pursuing reimbursement through the civil suit against my mom. Most of the wedding was paid for by my dad and me. Not my mom. She contributed like $500 to the rehearsal dinner and acted like she funded the whole thing. The venue actually refunded half our deposit when they heard what happened, which was surprisingly nice of them. Some of you have pointed out that I might be feeling too good about my revenge and that it's not healthy. You're probably right. My therapist and I will definitely be discussing this. But after 29 years of being constantly overshadowed and manipulated, it felt really damn good to finally stand up for myself. I'm not proud of feeling satisfied about someone else's downfall, even if it's my mom. But I'm also not going to pretend I feel bad about it. To answer the most common question, no, I don't think I'll ever speak to either of them again. Anthony has sent me this 10-page letter explaining how he was seduced by my mom and how he still has feelings for me. I didn't even finish reading it before throwing it away. As for my mom, I've blocked her on everything. My dad says she's looking at significant jail time, plus paying back everything she stole. I don't need or want updates about her life. For those asking if I ever found my original wedding dress, no. I assume my mom either destroyed it or has it hidden somewhere. Kathy, the seamstress, offered to make me a new dress for free whenever I'm ready, which was incredibly kind. But I honestly don't even want to think about weddings for a long time.